I've talked several times on this channel about how there are two ways to the top. There's one way that involves being a great leader and inspiring people to follow you. The other way is what I'm going to talk about today, and it's codified in this book, The 48 Laws of Power. We're going to talk about manipulation as a tactic to move forward in your life and career, and why it always leads to failure. Welcome into the channel. My name is Tom. I'm the founder of Vertical Motion, where we help good people become great leaders. If that's interesting to you, there's a link down below to explain it. And I do have a new book that I'm excited to share called The Executive Career Handbook that's available on Amazon. It's an in-depth, deep dive into how you can get your executive career started. If you're stuck at the mid-career professional level, if you just can't quite seem to break past that glass ceiling somewhere between senior manager or junior director in that range, there's a reason for it, and this book goes into detail on what you can do to move forward in your career. So go check out those resources, links down below in the description. Today I'm going to talk to you in a little bit more of a raw and plain spoken tone than I usually use, because this topic is something that's very dear to me. I have been abused by toxic, narcissistic, manipulative people multiple times in my career. One of the problems that I have is that I tend to see the best in people, which means sometimes I can't see the worst in them. And they have wrecked my career 4 times. 4 times I've had people wreck my career that were manipulative, toxic people. So I hate those people for obvious reasons. I can't count how many millions of dollars I've lost because of them. I can't count how many years of anguish and toil I've lost because of them. And while I don't really hold a grudge against the individuals, I have no interest in having them in my life ever again. And now I do everything I can to avoid having those people be in my life. And I'm able to do that. In my company, Vertical Motion, there's, I think, 11 or 12 employees, and I love every single one of them, and they love what they do. And there's just an amazing culture right now that I protect with my life. Inside of the community, we have over 200 people inside the Vertical Motion community learning to become executives, or already are executives learning to become better leaders. And those people are all authentic, empathetic, and audacious people that you just want to be around. And so I was able to create this bubble of goodness, people, like we call it the kindest corner on the internet. Everybody here cares about everyone else. They care to help each other, right? They care to inspire each other. And it's a beautiful feeling. I never felt that in the corporate world, not once. Nowhere did I go that I feel like everybody was there to help everybody else. It felt very different. And so I recognize that. I've created a bubble for myself, but I know where I came from. And I was surrounded by people who believed in this concept to move forward in their careers, the 48 Laws of Power. So playing power games and using these 48 laws of power in order to move forward in your life and your career, to move and advance your goals and objectives and means, this is a way that humans have operated for centuries, if not millennia. Right? Humans can be manipulative. And listen, if you look around, you'll see lots of manipulative people in power right now. How did they get there? They promised something that they were never intending to give. They told whatever lie they had to tell in order to get there. They made themselves look great at the cost of everyone else around them. I alone can fix this, right? Right? Think about that. They make themselves look great. And if you want to know how we have the politicians in charge of our country today, they read this book, along others like Mein Kampf, but the 48 Laws of Power is what they're doing. They're manipulating their way to power. Now, I don't believe in that. I don't think that's leadership at all. I think it's the opposite of leadership. It's the dark shadow of leadership, is manipulation. And this is why it angers me when I look at people manipulating other people and getting away with it. It's kind of a thing that I have right now. I'm really challenged with believing in anything in any of our institutions right now, because I just see too many people being manipulated and too many people being mistreated and saying, yes, this is what I want. But here's the thing about manipulation. It always ends in failure. You can manipulate your way to the very top and then get there, and you will destroy more value than you'll ever create. Manipulators tend not to have a vision for others. They only have a vision for themselves. And so manipulators get to the highest levels of an organization and they invariably crash it. They destroy it because they don't know how to care for anything other than themselves. I had an executive that I worked with at a previous company a couple of years ago who learned about the technology that I was working on and building. And I explained it to him in depth. And he saw the potential, like I did, for this to be a revolutionary technology in our industry. And then he suggested, how about we spin it out? He be the CEO and I'll be the CTO. And I said, no, I think I want to spin it out on my own. I'll be the CEO. That was my plan all along before you came along. That's what we're going to do. He got rid of me. He used all these manipulation tactics to get rid of me. And I won't go into details, but I'll just say that it worked. He got rid of me. He convinced the ownership of the company that I needed to go and that he stayed. And then what he did a year later was he took my technology and my team and he spun it out into a new company and then ran that company straight into the ground, losing millions of dollars. And it's because he never knew how to lead, because he never had to. He'd always just manipulated his way to the top. And then when he was in charge, he didn't know what to do. And so he just manipulated. And then when the thing was obviously going to crash and burn, he blamed everybody else but himself and sidestepped responsibility for dealing with the shareholders and the customers and everyone else who had been left on the hook. Right? This is what manipulators do. They shirk responsibility instead of owning it. So let's talk about leadership. This is the opposite of manipulation. Leaders lift everyone and everything around them like a high tide lifting all boats. Leaders inspire, they empower, they push power away from them, down as low as it possibly can go in an organization. They give as many people the power to do their jobs and more as much as they possibly can. They encourage people to trust one another. Right? This is something that manipulators don't understand. They know how to abuse trust, but they don't know how to create it. Leaders create trust where there was none before. Leaders strengthen trust, not just between the individuals and themselves as leaders, but between the individuals on the teams, right? There's a hidden cost to having a bunch of toxic, manipulative people in your organization. And you can actually show this on a spreadsheet if you care to, although a lot of CFOs will disagree with me on this. I'll tell you, there is a cost. It's productivity. It's the reality that there's attrition and turnover that's 5, 6, 7 times higher than it should be because people don't trust each other. They don't trust the organization. There's all these memes online about never trust HR. It wasn't supposed to be that way. HR really was there, not just for the company, but it was there for the people too. Not anymore, because enough toxic, narcissistic, manipulative people have gotten into the leadership ranks of all of these organizations, and they've turned the cultures into this cesspool that nobody wants to be a part of, but everyone has to because, well, we're addicted to groceries and rent payments, right? When you use manipulation, coercion, deceit, lies, misinformation, mistruths, when you use these things, when you use people's emotions like guilt and fear and shame against them, when you take credit for other people's work, when you suck up and shit down, yeah, you're going to move up. Like I said, there's 2 ways to the top. You're going to move up, but you're going to move up to a point where you're going to crash and burn, and then your reputation will be destroyed, and then you'll have to rebuild it in a whole new place with all new people who don't know your story. I see it time and time again. People moving through my former industry, burning bridge after bridge after bridge until they get to a point where nobody else will take a chance on them anymore. And then they become victims and blame everybody but themselves for their issues. Getting to the top of an organization is not the goal. Leading an organization is the goal. Leading is different than manipulating your way up. Leading means that you have a plan, you have a vision, you have an idea of what great looks like, and you have a way to get the organization there. Most toxic people can only see what their best outcome is individually. They don't know how to think for a larger team or organization or all the other stakeholders besides the shareholders, like the employees, the customers, the vendors, the local community, and even the planet itself. So to sum up, the 48 Laws of Power create for you a short-term advantage in getting over on someone. It destroys your long-term credibility, your long-term reputation, your long-term level sense of trust that people are willing to put into you. It destroys everything around you. Using manipulation destroys value. Leading creates value. And I want to talk more about value creation versus value extraction in another video. But I think that I'll leave it here and say that if you're somebody who resonates with manipulating other people to get to the top, get off my channel. I swear to God, I don't want those kinds of people here. If you're somebody who has the same visceral reaction that I have to people who are toxic and manipulative, you're in the right place. And it's time for all of us to stand up and show the world what good leadership looks like again, because we've forgotten. That's all I have for you today. A little bit of an intense one, and I apologize, but I really felt like I needed to talk about that today. So hope this was helpful to you, and I'll see you in another one.